Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. In this video, we're going to go over the 10 things we absolutely hate about cruising. But don't worry, we're also going to share how we minimize these downsides so that you can have a great time at sea. If you stay to the end of this video, we're going to give you our 3 bonus tips to make sure you have the absolute best time on your cruise. Now, before we get started, we'd really love to know what you guys have as your most hated thing about cruising. We really love to hear from you guys, and we really like to interact, so please leave that comment down below. We're Drew and Em, a part-time travel couple using our paid time off and weekends to explore all the world has to offer, from locations close to home to exotic international hotspots. We hope you follow us on our adventures. We're going to start off the top of the list with reason number 1, overcrowding. Whether it's trying to find deck chairs close to the pool, going to the buffet, getting off the boat while in port, whether it be tendering or simply just getting off the boat, trying to get elevators up and down, overcrowding is a major issue. So how do you minimize it? You plan your activities during off-peak hours. You eat when others are not eating. You can do things around the ship on port days. On a recent cruise in Greece, we took advantage of a spot on the ship that wasn't as convenient from the perspective of being able to get drinks at the bar or close to the pool, but it was completely empty. We grabbed some deck chairs and enjoyed complete privacy on a ship that was at full capacity. So there are ways to minimize it. You just have to be creative. Reason number 2 we hate cruising, motion sickness. Nothing ruins a cruise more than getting seasick and having to spend the entire time in your cabin. A few ways to alleviate this is to plan accordingly. There are options, there are medicines you can take prior to a cruise or during a cruise to minimize the effects of seasickness. Another thing you can do is avoid the smaller, older ships that don't have the stabilizers that the newer ships have. And being smaller, they are susceptible to the motion of the ocean, as they say. But there are ways you can alleviate it. Medicine, picking the right cabin towards the middle of the ship on a lower deck. If you are susceptible, this can also be a game changer. Do not book at the front or the back of the ship as you feel the effects of the ocean in these cabins. Along with picking the right cabin, you also might want to have a balcony or an ocean view cabin, because some people just looking at the horizon is a way to alleviate motion sickness. So this goes into picking the right cabin. Reason number 3, limited Wi-Fi. Even though the technology is getting much better, being on a ship, the limited Wi-Fi is a huge pain for those of us who like to be connected. And even sometimes when you get the basic Wi-Fi package, it's got limited minutes and the quality isn't great at all. So there are 2 ways to alleviate this. You can unplug for your 7, 10, 15, 14 day cruise and just unplug from all technology. Number 2 with this is you can use Wi-Fi while you're in port. The international plans have become much better. Or number 3, you do pay for a premium Wi-Fi package. These can run anywhere from $20 to $30 a day, so they are expensive. So these are ways you alleviate the limited Wi-Fi. Reason number 4, small cabins. They can be very cramped, especially like Em and I, we're both taller people, so they do feel very small for us. And the ways we alleviate this is we make sure we pack very light. We bring only carry-ons whenever we travel, especially on a cruise ship. This makes the most of the space in the room because we don't have too much stuff. We also don't have a large suitcase, so the carry-ons fit nicely into most cabin wardrobes. If it's within your budget, another way to alleviate the feel of a small cabin is to get a balcony. This extends some outdoor space, and with the blinds open, it does appear to be a larger space for you. So this is one thing we definitely recommend if you can afford it in your budget. Reason number 5, expensive cruise excursions. In many cases, the excursions you take while on your cruise can be more expensive than the cruise itself. Some of the ways we deal with this high cost is one, we use external websites to book our excursions. We have put many of our favorite down in the description below that you can check out yourselves. In a lot of cases, these can be upwards to 50, 60% cheaper than those booked through the cruise line. Now, a caveat here is they don't guarantee that the ship will wait if you book your own excursions, so beware of that. Number two, explore the port on your own. Just get off the boat and explore everything they have to offer. Sometimes you can use the hop-on, hop-off buses. This is another great option. These are a cheap way to explore everything within that port, and you can get on, get off, and in a lot of cases, this is much cheaper than what you would book through the cruise line. Number three, you can stay on the ship. You can stay on the ship. It's completely empty in most cases. You can enjoy some of the activities they have going on. On a recent cruise, Em wasn't feeling the greatest, so she stayed back on the cruise while we were in port. She did some origami, met some great people that were left on the ship, and had a great, relaxing time. Reason number 6, those pesky hidden fees. In recent years, these have gone up dramatically throughout all cruise lines, from gratuities to specialty dining to all those little extras. It's been a huge issue for many cruisers. To avoid these surprises, make sure you read the fine print when you are booking your cruise, and also set a budget before you go to ensure you stay within it. It definitely helps out. Another way to deal with this, not avoid the fees, but in a lot of cases when you're booking, you can prepay gratuities. You can look at packages on different cruise lines that include your drinks, some specialty dining, but make sure you do a complete budget and look at if it's beneficial for you to do any of these specialty packages. You can also look at some of the cruise lines in more of the luxury class that do include everything still in their cruises. But again, you have to weigh that against the cruise line you do want to go on. We are getting through our list quickly, but reason number 7 is environmental and social impact. This has been in the news very recently with anti-cruising and jurisdictions not wanting these mega ships in port anymore, and many are moving towards either outright bans or reducing the number drastically for various ports. One way to deal with this is many cruises are moving towards sustainability. I recently read that there are cruise lines looking at doing liquid LNG and that type of thing to be much more sustainable throughout. However, we feel that this is going to be a major bone of contention with cruise lines going forward, as more and more of them are building these mega ships and more ports are pushing back. Reason number 8, limited dining options. This can be extremely frustrating, especially on longer cruises where it feels like the menu's getting stale and you end up having the same thing over and over again. A couple ways to deal with this is to explore all the ship has to offer, go to specialty dinings, try different things in the buffet, and go to the main dining room. Most ships have many options, and exploring the different menus and not staying in your comfort zone, you might find something you truly love. All right, we're getting towards the end. Reason number 9, lack of privacy. Combined with the overcrowding and the small cabin sizes, the lack of privacy can definitely ruin a cruise and make you really hate it. Some ways to deal with this is to seek out maybe adult-only spaces on ships. More and more are adding these spaces to deal with some of this privacy issue. Seek out more nooks and crannies on the cruise ship that may not be as highly used. The library can be one. Various spots on the ship on the higher decks that aren't as close to the pools and bars can give you this privacy you're looking for. But it definitely is an issue, and especially on these more mega ships, they're jamming more and more people, and unfortunately, cruises are now starting to even overbook cruise ships. So use some of these tips to alleviate the lack of privacy. All right, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. Again, if you enjoy this video, please give us a thumbs up. We do really appreciate it. But without further ado, let's get to our number 10 in our list of 10 reasons we hate cruising. Lack of time in port is our number 10. And what we're going to add to this is a port-intensive schedule. These are two things that make us hate cruises and why we won't pick certain cruises. So we'll deal with the lack of time in port. For Em and I, we definitely love to explore at our own pace. We don't love to be rushed. So in a lot of cases, or in every case, being in a cruise port, you are stuck to the rigid schedule. And depending on the size of the ship and whether you're tendering or pulling into port, the time to get on and off the ship does chew up of a lot of time you expected to have exploring all that a port has to offer. So a few things that you can do to alleviate this is, one, don't overbook a cruise. You may look at a cruise and see that you're hitting 11 ports in 11 days. This will be completely exhausting. Another thing you can do with lack of time is some cruises do spend overnights in various ports. So if there's specific places you want to see or specific locales you want to go to, try to find a cruise that maybe does spend an overnight. Another thing you can do, and that Em and I do, is we always add some time at the beginning or the end of the cruise, especially if the port that you're embarking from or disembarking from is something you also want to explore. These are some things you can do to alleviate the lack of time. But as I call it, and Em does the same, is a cruise is a great way to explore, but we look at it like a sampler menu of things you can do or places you want to see, and then if you want to go back. Just a quick story here. Em and I took a cruise, and this was one of our first cruises we took right after we were married. We visited Grand Cayman. We ended up living there many years later. We'll do a future video on Grand Cayman. We loved it there, but this is an example of what can happen when you do cruise. Okay, as promised, we promise you our 3 bonus tips. So we're going to go through these bullet style and just get them out super quick. So 1, don't go to spa or shopping sales days or sales events. These take up a great deal of time, and they are ultimately there just to sell you something. Yes, you might get a coupon or you might get a small gift, but again, you're on vacation, you're there to relax and maximize your time. For us, these aren't worth. Number 2, and this is super important, fly in the day before your cruise. This is a non-negotiable. If you don't want to have stress on your trip, especially in today's world where flights are getting delayed for any number of reasons, internet attack, weather, so on and so forth, you don't want to miss your well-planned cruise because you've tried to fly in on the same day. This is a huge no-no, so don't do it. Number 3, pick not only the right cruise line for you, but the right ship within that cruise line, because picking that is the most important thing into having a great experience on a cruise ship. We recently talked to somebody while on one of our cruises. We are getting up there in the number of cruises we've been on, but this individual has been on over 90. And the one thing he told us is, yes, you may get these nuances with each cruise line, but each cruise ship within the line is managed by obviously different staff and can drastically affect the quality of your cruise. So make sure you look at those reviews. We'll leave some cruise review sites down below for you to check out when you are looking at booking your cruise. So there you have it, our top 10 list with 3 bonus tips. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, again, we'd love you to give it a thumbs up, leave us some comments down below. We love to talk to you all, and we do really appreciate the engagement, and it does help out our videos and our channel, which we are trying to grow. So please, again, subscribe down below, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video.